Number one chapter, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Credence, you rock!
Great! Credence! We are not only number one, we are the best.
As usual, consistent chapter performers. Okay, and we rock and we will keep on rocking.
Rock! We rock! We rock! Credence, we rock!
So we're very lucky today that we have Vidhu Sharma. I will invite him. Some of you may be knowing Vidhu. He is going to be the speaker. He is going to take this session ahead. And I please request all of you to plus invite him. I'll introduce Vidhu to you. He's probably one of the most perfect candidates that we found for this particular session, because he has experience across several verticals, across several businesses. So he's worked in banking and finance, he's worked in pharmaceuticals, he's worked in chemicals, he's worked as a consultant. So probably he's been 360 degree around the, so he's been as an employee, he's been as an employer, he's now a consultant. He is a certified trainer, and he learned any technique and he's certified for it, be it MBTI, be it DISC, be it NLP. So apart from his experience of more than 25 years, of which almost more than a decade plus, around 15 years, has been international. So he's worked with several international organizations outside India. So he's been in Singapore, he's been in China, he's been in Thailand. He's managed virtual teams almost across the globe. So he's managed teams in US, in Australia, in UK, in Europe, other places. So we thought that there is someone who could share insights, practical insights about how we could sort of tackle this issue. So I invite Vidhu, and I again welcome all of you on behalf of BNI Credence, and please feel free to interact with us after the session. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon. So I hope everyone is awake, and I intend to keep you awake for another 1 hour or so, right? Sivaji? Okay. So interesting topic, finding the right formula to attract and retain talents. How many of you are from HR? Oh wow, okay, good number. How many of you are business owners? Very nice. Interesting thing happened. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Did you celebrate it? No? No? Okay. Married? Come on. If you're married, then you should celebrate it, right? Now, I had an interesting Valentine's Day, and I'll tell you what happened. My wife was really upset in the morning. And I asked her what happened. She said, well, you know what, she's an employer. She employs an housemaid who comes, and you know housemaids, right? If you're living and working in an area which is New Bombay, you understand the challenges. And she said, well, my housemaid said she will not be coming from next week onwards. And I was like, so what happened? Get another one. And she said, well, very difficult to find a good housemaid. अभी तो बदली थी मैंने, ठीक है, अभी तो इसको ढूंढ के लेके आई थी, और अभी ये वापस बोल रही है कि मैं नहीं आ सकती हूँ क्योंकि उसको अपने नेटिव प्लेस जाना है. And the question was, what do we do? Because she was very upset. So anyway, I took her out in the evening and all that, so managed to pacify her, and then today morning we sat down for a problem-solving session of how to retain the housemaid with us. Right? And this is something what I'll be sharing with you about how to attract and retain based on my experience and some of the recent trends which are there. So first let's define what is the problem, okay, and what is really happening in the industry. Because we keep on hearing many times, अच्छे आदमी मिलते नहीं हैं, जैसे सुबोध जी ने अभी बोला. Right? We don't get good people, we can't attract good people, or the right people rather. And if we attract them, we are not able to retain them. Okay? So, first of all, finding the right people, everyone wants the right person. The question is, who's the right person? Because somebody who's right for me may not be right for him. Okay, because the skill sets, the kind of the people we require, based on your organization, based on the kind of the business you are running, based on the culture you have within the organization, you may require a different type of a person. So defining what is the right person is very much specific to an organization. So by the way, English is okay, or do you want me to blend English and Hindi both? English is okay with everyone? Fine, good. Another thing what we normally find is the business managers or the business owners, they keep on asking that for HR folks, since we have got quite a number of HR people over here, their expectation is getting the right person on board should be the primary job of an HR person. Unfortunately, in the changing market conditions, attracting the right talent has moved from not so much about an HR function, but more of a marketing skill set. How do you really attract people? And if you attract the right people, how do you influence and convince them to come and join your organization? It's more about a concept selling now. और HR वाले तो concept selling वो क्या होता है, right? क्योंकि वो तो हमें पढ़ाया नहीं जाता कॉलेज में, MBA वगैरह में. वो तो एक मार्केटिंग सेल्स का कुछ होता था फर्स्ट ईयर में, उसके बाद वो भूल गए हम. We forgot it. Now it's all about, you talk about compensation, you talk about performance management, you talk about talent management, you talk about learning and development, we know all of that. You talk about how to maintain business relations, human relations with the business partners, what we call as business partnering, we understand that. But what is the concept selling? Frankly speaking, HR does more concept selling at a senior level than any other person, right? And both of us, we were discussing a lot about selling, which Spanco is one of the key models, which started the basic fundamentals of selling, right, as a model. So the concept selling has been there in HR for many years. Only thing is that we don't realize it. So this is what is really happening. What are the other trends which are happening? Let's try to define that first before we really get into the strategies and the techniques of attracting and retaining talent. So some of the trends, if you pick up the newspaper, you will find that, Mercer came back and they said in 2019, the hiring volumes in India are going to go up by 31%, which means it's a red flag for the HR people as well as for the business owners, right? मतलब काम बढ़ने वाला है. Good news for the HR folks is they are in the job, they have a challenge, but the bad news is there is going to be much more attrition, which is going to happen. Secondly, there is going to be an increase in demand of senior executives, right? Which again basically says that it's going to be a good time in 2019. More and more people will get employment. That is what Michael Page in India is saying. One of the news reports talked about there is going to be much more demand in the tech skill sets. So those of you who are in the technology industry will know that we talk about AI. Somebody was talking to me about artificial intelligence. We were talking about all the new technologies which are coming into play, and there is a lot of demand which is going up, which means more and more youngsters who are from those particular background, they will be looking for opportunities if we can't retain them. Interestingly, there was one more report which I read in Economic Times which said that the percentage of employable population has increased. What does that mean? It basically means that, and especially engineers, it basically means that the employability skills have gone up, right? Which means that people are more confident in terms of getting a better role and an assignment if we can't retain them. And they will be more flexible to move out. And last but not the least, more than 60% of millennials, what we call as Generation Y, people who are born after 1982, right? They have job hopped in the last 3 to 10 years. 60%, you can calculate that. So this is a trend that people If they get a better opportunity, they will move. As simple as that. Okay? So let's try to understand what does that mean to us. Okay? There is a new word which is called as employeeism, like consumerism. Okay? So today, how many of you actually shop online? Online shopping? There you go, right? Even if you go into a mall or a retail outlet, you will do more of a window shopping, identify which product you want, you will go compare with Amazon or Flipkart, order place karenge, buy kar lenge, right? If you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, you return it, right? There is basically no ask policy with a lot of these kind of Amazon and Flipkart kind of companies, right? So what really happens is, same is happening as a behavior with the youngsters nowadays. And I do see there are a lot of people who are Gen Y over here, and they would, I'm sure, agree with it. For them, it's not about the company. क्या होता था ना, मेरे father के time पे, who's typically a baby boomer, what we call, different generations. So उनके time पे क्या होता था? He was married to a company, in the sense lifelong employment. Japanese concept, हमने सुना होगा, right? So he's married to a company, he's happy over it, right? One company he will continue. I belong to a generation which is called as Generation X. Okay, for us, what is important is we are married to a profession. If I have chosen HR, I'm an engineer by background. Okay, but then only in my career I decided I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to work over there. I want to get into HR profession. So I started with HR. And I've been loyal to my profession. Okay, so most of the Gen X, by and large, they have been loyal to their professions, not necessarily to the organizations. Gen Y, it's a different ballgame. They are not loyal to the profession even. Okay, they say we don't work for the company, we work with the company. And the interesting complexity is going to come in the coming years when the Generation Z will enter. And the Generation Z, they are altogether a different breed, because my son is one. They are typically people who are born after 1995, and that's debatable. Some say after 1995, some say after 2000. Okay, and those folks, for them, there was a research I was reading which basically said, these are the people in the first 5 years, they will be changing at least 7 jobs. Because the skill sets will be changing so fast, either they keep up to the skill sets or they are out of job. So that's going to be altogether a different challenge in the next 10 to 15 years, what we are going to see as a trend. But we'll stick right now to the issues what we have, okay, which is millennials. So millennials, typically, for them, it's all about shopping when they go to a company. They get into an organization and they basically, what they look at is, or even before getting into an organization, what they look at is, they identify what is my need. What do I need? I need good pay. I need a good working environment. I need something. So I will actually go and discover, try to find out, what is existing. So I'll try to explore. Once I've explored my options, I'll evaluate, is it meeting my needs or not? If it meets my needs, then I will apply for the job. As a Generation Y. I'll apply for a job and then I'll join. And if I like this place, then I'll ask my friends, come with me and we'll work together. Right? Be a part of this company. If I don't like, I will not invite people to come. So this is typically what is happening with the millennials and with the today's generation, which constitutes the most of the population. So this is the trend. This is what is existing. हमारा problem क्या है ना? हम लोग सोचते हैं, expectation है हमारी लोग छोड़ के नहीं जाने चाहिए. Yeah, we should get this kind of a skill set of people. But unfortunately, those expectations are not being met because the behavior is fundamentally changed. Unless we understand that behavior, we will not be able to drive the right technicalities in our organization in our firms, in our departments to retain people in the organization and attract the people in the organization, right? So I'll be coming to that in a minute. Okay. So the other behavior which you will find quite normal, what we call as ghosting and social stalking. That is the other behavior you'll find which is very common, and I'm sure most of the Gen Ys, millennials will agree with that. Even Gen X also, myself also. If I have to really go and meet a customer now, what I'll do? A prospective customer. I'll go on to their all social media sites. I'll go to all my network and check with them, right? Who knows that customer, and ask about that company, understand what is the background, understand who's who, okay? And then accordingly I'll go and make my pitch, my introduction. That is typically what candidates are also doing. They are talking to the employees in your organization before they actually reach out and basically even apply or come for an interview, right? Secondly, what they are also doing is they are stalking on your social media sites. And if you do not have a decent presence on social media, or you have a presence, but your social media is not vibrant, it's not lively, it's not something which as a Gen Y, I like it, I'm not interested in your company. Because as a youngster, I'm driven by what I see. I basically make decisions based on that. So I was talking to one of the youngsters, and my friend's son, right, his third job, 5 years after he graduated. And I said, so you're changing your jobs very fast, what's going on? Go a bit slow, right? I mean, although you are from a technological background, he's a computer engineer, computer science किया हुआ है उसने, तो उसने बोला नहीं, but I think I need to go and get another job. And I said, okay, fine. You interviewed this company, what happened? It's a good company, I don't want to name the company, it's one of the known companies. He said, well, all good, you know, the work environment seems good, I spoke to a couple of guys over there, it seems good. Everything is hunky-dory. But you know what, uncle? I just don't think so. The person I met is going to be really good with me as my manager. I said, what happened? He seemed to be a bit arrogant. I said, what was the arrogance he demonstrated during an interview phase? He said, very simple. You know, I asked him, what is the flexibility I'll have? And he said, well, even before you have joined, you're talking about, you know, having a flexible work timings and thinking about how much time you can spend at home. I said, that's not arrogance, that's a discussion, right? Well, and I said, uncle, I don't think so, that's going to work with me. Perception. Unfortunate part is, people nowadays, candidates, they make judgment based on their perception of the world, and your perception and their perception is quite different, right? So we need to start understanding from their perspective what it is, and then accordingly trying to help them to understand what is your organization, and that's all about how we can go about attracting. So fundamentally, this market is a candidate-driven market. How many of you would agree with that? Candidates, they drive the market rather than the employers. Right? Okay, seems like 40-60 kind of a thing. How many of you think it's an employer-driven market? Employer calls the shots. Employer-driven market. Okay, see, rest of you are undecided. So now I know for sure. When we say a candidate-driven market, candidates are making the decisions. They have got multiple options in their hands, right? So the question you have to ask is, who's your competition? In a candidate-driven market, if you have to attract the talent, अगर आपको talent अपनी तरफ आकर्षित करना है, तो आपका competition कौन है? आप कैसे आकर्षित कर सकते हो? आपका competitor कौन है? Anybody? Who's your competition? Competitor? Similar industry player? Okay. Any other response? Sorry? Existing employee? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any other different response? Who's your competition in a candidate-driven market? आपको कौन compete कर रहा है? अगर आपको कोई talent को attract करना है तो people who have left the organization, very good. Any other responses? It's basically your organization yourself. The culture, your managers, your employees, the ex-employees, all of them, they are the people you need to focus on if you have to attract the right talent in the organization. Because unfortunately what is happening is, we talk a lot about we are not able to get the people from other organizations, our competitors, our product competitors or services competitors. But the reality is, our people are not supporting us in terms of attracting the right people. Our culture itself is becoming a deterrent. Our presence on the social media or our presence, the kind of the candidate experience we give when he or she comes for an interview, that becomes a deterrent to attract the right people. Example. Most of you must be interviewing, right? So I was visiting a prospective client and I was meeting the HR manager. And the HR manager excused me for a few minutes. And we were sitting in a conference room and I could see there was one guy who has been there for quite some time, right? And it was a lunchtime. Fortunately, I had my lunch and then I had gone. And she said, Vidhu, please excuse me, I want to go and meet this person. And he has come since morning, he has come from Nagpur. And I want to go and check if the manager has interviewed him or not. I said, what time he came? I asked her casually. Said, he came at 10 o'clock. I said, okay. And the interview was at 10 o'clock. She said, yeah, around 10:15, 10:30 the interview. And what happened? Oh, the manager just went. He was busy with something. And I said, it's almost 2 o'clock. She said, yeah, I'll just send him off and then come. She came back. I said, so he's gone now? Yeah. I just sent him off. I said, you didn't offer any lunch or anything? I mean, I know this person for quite some time, so it's a little bit casual in terms of asking that question. She said, no, I did not. I said, well, what is the impression he would carry of your company now he goes out? I didn't ask that question, but that was at the back of my mind. How are you treating your prospective candidates? Hindustan Unilevers, आपने नाम सुना होगा सबने, right? Hindustan Unilevers. It's one of the best companies which I have come across within India. And historically, that company, has been a breeding ground for a lot of leaders. So somebody, this is almost like 25 years back, went and asked them, one of their HR folks, you are breeding and training so many leaders over here and you are losing them to the competition, you're losing them to other industries. What do you think about it? It's such a waste of money. And they said no, because these are the people, they are our brand ambassadors. When they go out of Hindustan Unilever, they proudly say, I have worked in Unilevers. And they support our products for lifetime. They carry a good brand image. So they become our brand ambassadors in the outside world. Right? So please remember, each and every contact or connection with a prospective employee, whether it is on social media, whether it is in person, it's something which will be having a long-lasting effect. And nowadays, when we talk about millennials have another behavior which a lot of Gen X people should be knowing about it. And if they don't know, then they should know. Millennials are the folks who have grown up typically not under the guidance of their parents. And this is called as something under a failed parenting strategies. Because think about it. When I was working, my wife was working. Frankly speaking, for a little bit older people than me, if they are Gen X or even they are baby boomers and they have, these millennials who are growing up, parents were never there. Think about it. Parents were never there for guidance. Millennials were always relying on the advice of the friends. Unlike Gen X, who were basically told, बेटा आपको CA करना है, या आपको इंजीनियर बनना है, या आपको डॉक्टर बनना है, हम मना नहीं कर सकते थे, हम हाँ वही करेंगे, right? Millennials, it was not that way. For them, it was a different story. So, because of that, they rely more on their friends, and because of that, they listen more to their friends. That is the reason why you have Facebook. It's developed by millennials, right? That is the reason why you have Instagram. That is the reason why you have Twitter. That is the reason why you have got all these social chat sites. Because they want to be in constant connection with each other. And they want to have an instant feedback. So these are the behaviors one need to understand in the changing world, so that you can design better strategies in your organization to attract the right kind of people and retain them. Right? So we'll continue to move on. Your competition is essentially yourself. You have to say who's the culture. So talent attraction strategies and some tips. We'll touch upon around 7 of them. Right? One is candidate relationship management, so CRM. And the first time I was reading CRM, I read it twice. I was like, customer relationship management has changed to candidate relationship management. And therefore I keep on saying, it's more of sales and marketing now, rather than pure HR. Okay. Inbound recruiting, guess what? Another term which is coming from inbound marketing, and I'll explain that in a bit. Recruitment marketing, talent pools, employer branding, referrals, and behavioral interviews. Let's go one by one. What is it, right? So CRM, candidate relationship marketing, what I talked about, giving a candidate experience, a good candidate experience. So statistics says basically 66% of the candidates believe interactions with employees are the best way to get insights into a company. If I want a job in Coca-Cola as a millennial, I will of course go onto their social media and everything, but I will try to find out who's my friend's friend who's working over there, talk to that guy, and basically try to understand if that would make sense for me to go and work over there, right? Or if I want to go and work for Microsoft in India, in Bangalore, then I would actually do that. Typically, the focus is on reference. Candidates are 2x more likely to accept cold emails from recruiters if they have interacted with your brand before. If I don't even know your brand, I'm not really sure about it. So if you are out there, or if you as a recruiter tell the candidate that, hey, why don't you visit our site and then let's have a chat, they will be more comfortable, right? 75% of the professionals are passive candidates, but your brand image, your brand can engage with them proactively. So there was another incident, and in my consulting line of work, I keep on meeting a lot of prospective clients and existing clients. And one of the clients I'm working with them on employment branding. And so I asked them, so your website is there, wonderful, let's look at your website. And I went through that and I said, well, a lot of these things seems to be obsolete. They said, for the last 5 years, we have not even updated. I said, why? Well, there's nobody existing. I said, no wonder you are having challenges for attracting candidates and retaining your people, because you are not focusing. And they said, well, we have a Facebook. I said, okay, so when was your last update in the Facebook? And they said, well, as a corporate, it was a Diwali, and now we are in Feb. So I said, well, good. So like 2 posts in a year, is that a good way of keeping your Facebook updated? The point is, as a part of the marketing on social media, right, employment marketing I'm talking about, you have to have a visibility, you need to have a continuity. And if there is no continuity, people will not. Even for customers also, we do that, right? I mean, that is really important. So candidate relationship management is, how good is your candidate experience? It's not about what you do, but how you do that makes a difference. Small things. When people are coming for interviews or when people are applying on your job portal, I keep on testing a lot with different companies. I basically ask someone as a youngster to basically apply in a particular job, and then I ask them, so what has been the response, right? And they say, well, we got a response on an email that this is what is, thank you, we have received your application and we'll be getting back to you for further details, do this. Some companies are doing a damn good job in terms of interacting, even if it is through emails or through phone calls or through WhatsApp messages, okay? But some companies, they just forget about it. And that touch point is a failure on behalf of the company. So candidate experience is how you are treating a candidate. If the position is getting closed, is an email going back? And a lot of these things nowadays are automatic, right? I mean, they are a part of your, even your Naukri.com, if you are using a Naukri.com, right? You can figure it out. Or if you are using a particular software, then those software can have these kind of feature functionalities. So the second one is inbound recruiting, and this is an end-to-end thing. So inbound recruiting comes from inbound marketing, right? Which basically says, don't try to go and search for a candidate, but attract the candidate in your company. Okay, so have an end-to-end kind of a thing where you are able to attract. So focus on ensuring your passive candidates, they are interested in your company. Who are the kind of the talent who will be interested in your company? How would you engage with them? Okay, are you bringing them into your website or into your social media and attracting them, developing an interest so that they would at least put their profile in your company, right, over there. They can be as a part of your talent pool, as a part of your database. So inbound marketing is all about doing end-to-end work to attract and source, convert, engage, and then track, right? Now, many a times for a lot of organizations with limited budget, with HR, in recruitment, this is not possible. I fully understand that. Okay, I have been there, I have done it. So sometimes companies say, we don't think this is important. आप लोग 5 लोग हो, 6 लोग हो, figure it out how you want to hire people. Don't talk to us about so much of money. I better go and invest into supply chain management module or ERP or something else which will give me better returns. This is not going to give better returns. Okay, so I understand. Then we basically say, okay, fine, we use a simple strategy. We use something called as recruitment marketing. What does that really mean? Everybody has got a website. Very simple, right? The website, can you ensure your website is an interactive website? Most of the websites, they have a page called as a careers page. In the careers page, what you write over there makes a lot of difference. Simple things. Most of the careers page, you go and you check any company, you will find vision, mission, competencies, values will be written over there. Does not interest me. Seriously. As a millennial, it does not interest me. What I want to know is, what is the employee talking about that company? What is the career growth somebody is talking about, in the company he or she had? What is the technology or the knowledge with somebody or a skill that can be built over there? Those videos need to be there. Because you know what? As a millennial or even as a Gen X today, I've got a very limited span of attention. I want to look at it, and if it interests me, I'll get into it. If it does not, I'll move on. Click button, move, next. Right? So, 2-minute videos, 2-minute photographs that can attract my attention. That is typically what can be done to build a consideration and develop an interest so that the rest of the process will go. For awareness purposes, use social media. Simple thing in use social media, and we'll see one of the examples of Instagram. how it is being used by one of the companies, to really attract people and communicate about their culture. Okay, so recruitment marketing is the simplest thing. Using your website, you can do, for yourself. The other is building talent pools. And talent pools, a new terminology, but frankly speaking, 15 years back, I used to do it in Singapore. We used to call it proactive recruitment. I used to work with a pharma company. And one of the core challenges in pharmaceuticals, anybody from pharma industry over here? Okay. So one of the core challenges in the pharma industry used to be getting the right medical representatives. India में बहुत abundance में है. Internationally, you don't even find a single person. And you won't believe, in Singapore, we used to hire air hostesses as a medical representative. And the logic was very simple. They are the best people who can speak, okay, and communicate with the doctor. So once you train them on the skill, their attitude is beautiful, because then they'll be able to communicate to the doctor very easily. And those are the people we used to hire. So getting the right kind of a medical rep was a major challenge. And at that point of time, I used to do a proactive recruitment, something what we call as talent pools, segmenting based on different therapeutic areas or different candidate skill sets. I used to have folks, and I used to call them up, or I used to send them email, get them onto a coffee meeting, just talk to them, assess them, keep them in my database, and say, we'll keep in touch if you're not interested right now, or if you're interested right now, I'll get back to you when I have a role. And I used to maintain that kind of a database. And that was 10 to 15 years back. And now, this is the most prevalent thing which is happening, having the right kind of talent pools. Now, talent pools itself are not good, because most of HR folks will say, sir, हमारे पास तो database है. हम तो database use कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास database है. लेकिन database आपका relevant नहीं है. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, you are not talking to people. How much connect you have developed with people. The next point will come, it's not physically possible. Now, if you're really interested in ensuring that you have the relevant people, you need to figure out ways and means to do it. One of the companies, I was talking to, they said, we do simple things. They are an IT company. And they said, we basically have these career fairs, right? So we say that we are having our fair, which is a product related fair, and along with the product fair, we will also have a career fair. And that time, we'll send an invite to all the people that this is our product fair happening, and 2 people will be sitting over there with the 6 days, along with the sales and marketing people. 2 people of HR will be sitting, and they will be getting all these candidates, prospective candidates. When these prospective candidates come, they basically make them see what are the products and everything, and they also find time to have conversations with them. And that is how they keep their database relevant of the interested people, which they can have a connect with. So these are innovative ways where people are trying to figure out ways and means of how they can keep their talent pools updated and continue to engage and communicate with people. Some companies are very big, right? So they cannot do these kind of things, or they are too small, they can't do these kind of things. So how do you do that? You do something very simple. You basically send them news, what is the latest update in your organization, what is happening, what's going on. You send them the latest FB post you have put over there about a recent event which you have conducted on Diwali, on 31st, annual party, whatever it is, you send them. We are glad to inform you this is an event which was conducted, our employees participated in so and so, and would love to see that this is what it is. Kindly let us know what do you think about it. So how are you engaging, how are you trying to connect and reach out to them? It's all about reaching out to the prospective candidates, right? You can filter them based on some of the candidates these are the candidates you really want to attract. And you can segment them, and you can only connect them if you cannot connect with everyone, right? It's up to you. But those are the efforts which are really required to attract the right kind of candidates. Employer branding, okay. Now, here is a challenge. How many of you think that we should be present on most of the social media platforms for attracting the right kind of people? Okay, very good. How many social media platforms typically you have in your organization? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of them? How many of you have like at least one? Okay. How many of you have like 2? Okay. 3. Okay. Fewer hands. 4. Okay. Fine. Here is the challenge. When you try to do everything, using everything, you are not able to get done anything. Focus is the key. Now, this company, which is called as HubSpot, right? They are actually trying to attract the talent by using Instagram. Look at that carefully. Okay? What do you notice immediately? First thing you notice is my happy place. How are you trying to communicate and connect with the psyche of the people, with the psychology of a person? That is really important. What are you really trying to communicate over there? HubSpot is the name of a company. It's a company which says it's my happy place. So people are happy over there. They feel like this is a company where we would love to be there. Secondly, what they are saying, how do you stay motivated after a bad marketing campaign? Controversial topic, but the company, if I look at it, it's basically saying, I care. Even if you fail at marketing, if you fail at a sales, it's okay. I'm trying to help you. I don't say I don't allow failures, right? So this company is a company which cares and demonstrates concern for the people. So how do you stay motivated after a bad marketing campaign? How do you go from being sad to, after a failed marketing campaign or a sales call, post your tips to stay motivated at work in the comments, and we'll include them in our upcoming videos. Right? So they are willing to engage and include as a bigger community. Now, what can be a better innovative method as compared to this? If I look at this, I know, hey, yaar, achhe log hain. Company seems to be good. They seems to be caring. They have a concern. They are people who have a positive outlook. Now, this is a kind of a company which I should inquire more and I should try to find out more about. Now, I'm interested. They've created an awareness. They're trying to develop my interest so that then I can go and apply. So, this is typically how companies are trying to use social media with 1 or 2 forums to attract the right kind of people. Now, there are a lot of social media platforms, right? We need to be very careful in selecting where we really want to play. Some people prefer Facebook, others prefer Twitter, others prefer Instagram, others prefer, of course, apart from there, it's not a social media, I would say, your website, your company website. Apart from your company website, they will say, well, we also want Google Plus, or we should be present on YouTube, LinkedIn, of course, right? So there are multiple of them, but please remember, each of them have got a different purpose. If you really want to give an answer for how to do it, you should be using your YouTube channel. How do you really become an excellent salesperson? That is a video you should be posting on YouTube. You're putting a link over there on your website or on a LinkedIn, you should be flashing it out and direct the people over there, right? But if you are really looking at Facebook, then it's the best for building brand loyalty, right? On Facebook, you can do a lot of community postings, a lot of other things, and you can do it. LinkedIn is more professional. But choose one or two and try to put your efforts on those one or two social media channels. Don't try to do everything. I made a mistake when I started as a freelancer. I basically got my Twitter handle started, I started my Facebook, I also started looking at LinkedIn, and by the end of a month, I was like sitting with my head down. अकेला आदमी क्या क्या करेगा, किधर किधर रोज पोस्टिंग करेगा, व्हाट्सएप पे भी डालना है, ये भी करना है, नहीं होता है. एक चीज पकड़ो, अच्छे से करो. Do it really at an excellence, at par. It should have regularity. I was sharing with a couple of people, there is a great orator called as T.T. Rangarajan. You should hear his talks on YouTube. Okay, he's a great orator. I mean, just for his oratory skills, is fantastic. There is a talk called as Dinacharya, okay, which is taken from an Ayurveda concept, and he talks over there, and he says, even if you do one thing for a small amount of time, but do it consistently, that will have a much more bigger impact than trying to do multiple things, but at an irregular basis. That means, अगर आप खाली एक ही social media platform पकड़ के आप regularly you keep on doing it, daily you put something over there, and you try to bring it to the attention of your target audience, you will have a better chances of success rather than trying to do it, once in 2 months, 3 months on multiple platforms. You will not get so much of success, right? So choose your right social media platform for your business, for attracting the right kind of talent. And you will know, depending on your industry, where do your prospective candidates mostly go to? You will know that best, right? Another strategy is referrals, employee referrals. I mean, this is the oldest and the best method. Okay, you can't beat this. And millennials, mainly, like I said, they have their behavior pattern is such, they will believe on references, right? And if they hear people talking negative about certain things, they will get influenced by that. So, this particular statistics talk about that even your days to hire gets reduced if you go by referrals versus going by regular channels. Okay, so referrals is the best, and most importantly, how do you get the referrals going on? Because many HR folks and many of even the business heads would talk about, we have got this referral scheme going on in our company, we're successful here. Nobody refers. Why would somebody refer? Right? So, I'll tell you an example or a story about this. So I was talking to, in one of the countries, I used to head Asia Pacific region in my previous organization as an HR head over there, and I was based out of China. And so there were multiple country HR heads who were reporting into me, and one of the countries we had a major issue, right? And I went over there, and the HR head was leaving, and I was hiring for another one. But in the meantime, I started talking to the employees over there. And I started asking them, hey, there is so much of attrition over here, and we are really looking for this particular skill set. Why don't you refer somebody to come and join us? And they say, sir, with due respect, I will not. And I said, why? What is the reason? Well, simple reason is the work environment. We are under so much of work pressure. We have to work really late. And I don't think so this is a good place. I would like to refer my friend. I'm already in a suit. Why I would ask my friend to come and join me in that suit, right? And I was really thankful to the person because he was very candid. Because I didn't realize that this is what was happening. And prima facie, when I started interacting with other folks in different departments, I realized this was pretty much happening in the entire country in our organization, because that was the way the top management used to think. कि लेट बैठेंगे मतलब काम अच्छा हो रहा है, जल्दी जा रहे हैं ज़्यादा हो रहा है, जल्दी जा रहा है मतलब काम नहीं है इन लोग के पास. And that was the major issue. And of course the work was also there. So what I realized was that we need to do something different. And accordingly, I changed my entire game plan of hiring the kind of the person I was looking at. And I brought in somebody who is a more amiable and a people-friendly person rather than a result-driven person for this organization. And what she did was amazing cultural change in the organization. She came in and she basically started connecting with the people. Of course, she found what was the source of the problem. And she started influencing the business leaders. And she helped them to understand what can we do differently and still achieve the results and keep the people motivated. And in a period of 1 year, the entire culture in that particular country had changed in that organization, my organization. So the point is, when the employees, they are really engaged and they are really motivated, they become your brand ambassadors. So what can we do? And some of the things what she did was precisely this, right? Keeping your employees informed. Telling what are the problems of the business which we are facing and how you can help to resolve those problems. Simple focus group sessions. Open house, town halls बोलते हैं हम लोग. Open meetings जो बोलते हैं, town hall sessions बोलते हैं, focus. उसने town hall sessions से start किया management से. Ultimately she came with the focus groups and she was basically communicating and taking feedback from each and every person, you know, and then funneling it up to the management, implementing those actions, recognizing those people and getting things done, right? In IT world nowadays, we call it as crowdsourcing of ideas, right? So new terminologies, lot of jargons, but the simple way is brainstorming and getting things done. Delivering company news to employees, encourage your employees to speak up, okay? Organize employee events. So this was a Muslim country, okay? And of course, being an MNC, we never used to have any kind of, demarcation of religion and all that, but inclusion was one of our focus areas. But to some extent, the biases do creep in, right? And the country head was basically a non-Muslim. And he never used to believe in a lot of these kind of activities and events, you know, during the Ramzan period, what we do. And she introduced it. And she said, we are going to have it, right? And we will have a Ramzan event, and we'll have a fasting ceremony, and we'll have a feast after that. And we will not only do in the main city, but we will do it all around. And she influenced and convinced, and she did that. Oh my God, the morale went up zoom like that. Because for the first time the employees saw the management is coming and sitting with them and breaking the fast together, okay, and they are interacting and they are engaging in an atmosphere which was not a formal atmosphere, and they felt connected, right? So doing the events in the right spirit, in the right way is really critical, because a lot of us, we do a lot of events, but are we really having the intention to connect with the employees or not? That is what was the main focus. Let your employees write on your blog. Very important. You have got your company website, you have got your social media sites. Glassdoor is one of the pain areas for a lot of HR folks, right? But are you really asking your existing employees to go and write on the Glassdoor? Not influencing them to write all positive, but just communicating to them कि भैया लिखो जाके Glassdoor पे, क्योंकि negative comments तो आ रहे हैं आपके पास, या कुछ positive आ रहे हैं, कुछ negative आ रहे हैं, जो employees छोड़ के चले गए हैं, लेकिन जो exist कर रहे हैं उनका क्या? वो लोग लिख रहे हैं क्या? You need to encourage that. You need to encourage people to write blogs about what they like about your company. Do video testimonials. Like we take client testimonials and customer testimonials, Identify your top performer in the organization. You are a high impact performer. उनको बोलो आप एक वीडियो ब्लॉग कर रहे हैं हम लोग, आप बोलो इस पे आके what do you like about the company, what you don't even like about the company. You also say, or you say in a way that what can be improved and what we are working from an improvement perspective. Try to be as genuine and as candid as possible. That is what people will appreciate, right? So getting that kind of a working experience in blog writing will be good. Last but not the least, we all have these employee gifts, right? And I used to work in this company which is manufacturing ATM machines, automated teller machines. One of the countries used to do a real swell job. They used to get these swags. Swags are what? They are freebies. You know, small gift items जो अपने customers को, अपने employees को देते हैं. With all employee logos printed on them. But not only that, they used to also try to write down some quotes over there. Some small things, some power phrases they used to mention. Okay? And they used to give it. So these people used to feel very proud when they used to get it, the employees. They used to go and share with their friends and their relatives as freebies. Right? And with that, they used to get most of the referrals done through their employees in one of the countries, and that was really good what I learned from them, that they were really doing it very good. So the amount of referrals they used to get, good referrals, was very good overall, right? So using swags or employee gifts can be one way how you can really make your employees your brand ambassadors. Of course, the work environment needs to be right. Yeah. Last one on the attraction, and how much time I have left? 15 minutes, okay, thanks. So, this is on the how to attract. And this is one of the areas where we find that when we are interviewing candidates, we find it as a huge challenge. And most of the folks, they say, as business leaders or HR folks, 15 minutes, 1 घंटे में क्या समझ में आ जाएगा आदमी के बारे में? How we can find out? 3 rounds of interview also you do. How we can find out what good a person he is, whether he's a right fit for the company or not. Okay. The point is not what are you trying to find. It's basically also focusing on the how aspect of the person. So what is all about the skills he has got, the results he has delivered, right? That is our primary focus in an interview. The focus has to be on the how, which is what kind of behavior, skill sets, competencies, value system he has demonstrated. And those questions can come if you are using the right interviewing technique. And there are a lot of interviewing techniques. One of them is called as behavioral event interviewing. Second is called as competency-based interviewing. The primary focus is on identifying the behaviors. Most of the organizations I have worked with, or even now I'm interacting with, they use the traditional concepts. And the traditional concepts of, tell me something about yourself, tell me about your family, tell me what did you do. You know, you allow the candidate to drive the interview. You do not really find the key aspects of his behavior. Okay, whether he's going to be the right kind of a culture fit for your company or not. Whether he's going to be a right kind of a behavioral fit for your company or not. So getting those kind of interview questions predefined and preparing and helping your managers to prepare for that is one of the critical components and aspects. I'm not talking purely about a structured interview. I'm talking about a competency or a behavior-based interview, where you are able to find out what are his preferences, okay, from a behavioral perspective. What is his motivation? What are his likes and dislikes? What kind of a thing he would enjoy to do in the job. Okay? So identifying that is very critical right at the beginning. And then you know how to engage with the person. Like for example, if I'll use the example which is the most common one, a maid servant at house, right? A maid servant comes for an interview. What does my wife ask her? Okay, to ensure there is a longevity over there. She will ask her, आप कितने बजे आओगे? ठीक है, आपको टाइम जमेगा, डांडी मारोगे तो पहले बिना बताए नहीं मारने का डांडी, right, and all that. Guess what the maid will ask her? मैडम मैं अपना काम आके करूँगी, किटकिट नहीं करने का मेरे पीछे. That expectation alignment is very critical and important. Now what she knows, she cannot be micromanaged. And there the difference will come. If my mother has to get the work done from her, she cannot get it done. If my wife has to get it done from her, she will be able to do it because she is a hands-off person. She will say, okay, fine. So getting that fitment or an understanding between the manager and the kind of the employee is very critical and important. Whether the employee is achievement driven, whether he is recognition driven, what are his motivators? Whether he is purely focused on rewards or is he focused on career growth? What is going to motivate him? And whether his manager will be able to ensure that he is able to fulfill those motivational drivers or not. If manager नहीं कर पाएगा, employee will run away in a short period of time. So all this can be identified with the right kind of interview technique and the right kind of questions. You can identify that to a large extent. Okay, and even if that doesn't fit, then for the companies who can afford, they have got a lot of these assessments, Harrison assessments and DISC and Thomas profiling and so on and so forth. They can help you. Okay, so now we come to talent retention. Now, talent retention, when we talk about, there is one of the core challenges which we need to understand, especially with the employable population, which is millennials. The question is, and some of the millennials, please agree with me if you agree with this particular, or say that yes, we agree or we don't agree with this particular statement. What are they looking for? One of the research says they are looking for a couple of things, right? And this is a survey which was done in India. Census had done a survey of 1,002 employees in India. And they came out the reasons why employees leave, and most of them are millennials. One is the job was not meaningful, which means that the job did not live up to the expectations of meaningfully being engaged. Okay. Second was unhappy work environment. Third was I was offered a better role elsewhere. And this is a very big thing, what is a better role? And others were very less over there. Now, millennials, most of them, they would say, I want to make an impact. I want to have a meaning. I want to have a purpose in the job, right? There has to be something. So that is what drives me. But many of the HR folks, they normally say, nice sir, they are only focused on these aspects. They are focused on compensation, benefits, career, work environment and culture. So we can't focus on everything, right? We can't try to give everything to everyone. That's just not possible, humanly impossible. So my point is, let's try to differentiate it and break it into two aspects, okay? It goes by the age-old concept of most of the people Herzberg's theory of motivation, right? Hygiene factors and motivational factors. So hygiene factors is something which all of us still look for it, so does the millennials. We need a good work environment, I need a good salary, I need a good status, I need a good safety net. You will not sack me, in 90 days and say thank you very much, please go home and get a new job. Okay, I need a good boss, quality of supervision should be decent. I need a good people who I can connect with, interpersonal relations, job, company policies, branded company and all that. All of us need that. So do the millennials. Then it comes about what are the motivational factors. And this is an area one has to really focus upon if you are talking about retaining your people. Do you know what motivates your top performers? Do you know what motivates your high potential people? Do you know what motivates your most of the people in the organization? Do you try to find that in the interview process? Do you try to understand what drives them? What will encourage them? recently there was an article in a paper, I think almost around 2 weeks back. I was reading, I'm not sure, in Economic Times or Times of India. But it talked about one of these IT companies overseas. This guy, he doesn't give bonuses to his people. What he did was, he basically told his employee, he asked his employees when they joined him, it's a small IT outfit, okay, some software development company. And what he did was, he asked them, what is your dream? Right? Tell me, what is your dream? What is one thing you would like to accomplish? And he ensured when they achieved a milestone in their organization, he gave them an opportunity to fulfill their dreams. Somebody wanted to jump out of a plane, paragliding, क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Skydiving. So skydiving किसी को वो करवा दिया. Other person basically wanted to go somewhere, and have a 3-day trip, with his fiancée. वो करवा दिया. No bonuses, nothing. What I'm trying to say is, that is the kind of innovative stuff people are coming with. Now, within the boundary walls that you have within your organization, within the limitations what you have within your organization, identify what can you do. What will you do to ensure that the particular person is motivated? 15 years back, I came to a realization. And my realization as an HR professional was, retention is not a group activity. Retention is an individual activity. You have to go individual by individual to retain them. You think I will do, events, birthday celebration करवा देंगे, festival करवा देंगे, कुछ bean bags डाल देंगे, and everybody will be happy and they will get retained in the organization. खाब है, कुछ नहीं होता है. These are hygiene factors. They are given. They require that, right? People expect that nowadays. I need to have a flexible working hours. How much amount of flexibility you are giving? I've just become a father. Will you allow me to work from home? Take time to basically take care of the baby when my wife is going and working. Okay, those are a lot of hygiene factors nowadays. Motivators are you basically recognizing my achievement? Are you enriching my job? What are you doing? So identifying those motivators are critical. So there are multiple techniques, out of which motivation factors, finding them and working on them is one of them. And these are a couple of others. Let's look at one by one. Onboarding manifesto is a simple thing, and HR folks will understand that. When an employee comes in, do we really connect with him, or do we treat him like a resource or a commodity? Okay, have you filled this form? Okay, fill this form and then come afterwards. Okay, now have you done this particular training? Okay, tick box. Are we doing a tick box thing, or are we really trying to connect with him as an individual, as a new team member? How are you treating the person when he is joining your organization? That makes the difference, and that is the role of the HR person as an HR professional. Are you really connecting with him? Of course, compliance is important. Of course, getting him into engagement. What do we mean by engagement? Is he having the right connections with the right kind of people in the organization? Are you taking him around, introducing and ensuring his manager is also doing the same, so that he becomes successful in the company? Are you ensuring that he's a part of a bigger community? Whatever other communities you have, right, in the company, is he becoming a part of that community? That is the role of HR, and that has to be typically done within the first 90 to 180 days to make an employee feel comfortable. Come on, all of us are Indians, right? हम लोग आज की तारीख में भी शादी करते हैं. We live, some of us do live in joint families, right, or with our parents at point of time. So when somebody gets wedded, or शादी होती है, the wife comes in, how do you treat her? It makes all the difference for lifetime. नहीं तो 20 साल के बाद सुनना पड़ता है, ठीक है? saying out of experience. Okay, so सुनना पड़ता है वो टाइम पे तुमने मेरे लिए you didn't stand for me when your mom told me this, right? You have to listen after that. So pretty much for an employee, that is what is important. How you treat an employee when he's coming on board in the first 90 days. That will make all the difference. Stay interviews. How many of you do stay interviews in your company? Okay. Some of you do? Okay. So the concept of stay interviews is very simple. हम लोग exit interviews करते हैं जब आदमी resign कर देता है. Stay interviews का concept ये है, you are talking to each and every employee when he's in the company, how are you doing? What is that which is motivating you? What is that you love about your job? What else you would like to do that will keep you happy and motivated? Which will engage you. Everybody has got that hidden desire that he or she wants to do something, right? Because essentially I believe people are all good. They want to do the right things in an organization. It's our failure to identify either as managers or leaders or HR folks that what they want to do, and some of them are so shy that they don't open up. So if you do the stay interviews with one of my previous organizations, especially in the software development department, we were having a lot of attrition. And we actually introduced this concept. This is almost like around 4 years back. Okay, we introduced this concept of stay interviews, and it worked like magic. Because now we were able to know a lot of information that these people wanted to do. But most importantly is, you ensure they are done. क्योंकि खाली पूछने से फायदा नहीं है, करवाना बहुत जरूरी है. क्योंकि जब आदमी बोलता है सर, I don't want to work on this particular bug fixing kind of a program, I want to do some real developmental work, you have to talk to his manager, ensure you find the right project for this person, have that conversation going and make that person go and do that, right? Or if the person says, no, I'm not really happy in the quality control aspect of the software testing, I want to do something else, then yes, are you basically communicating that this is an opportunity you can get next time it comes, you give him an interview at least, get it done. So stay interviews, finding out and then ensuring you are facilitating as an HR or as a business leader is equally important. The next one is enrichment, and this creating impact is a very vague term, which most of the folks nowadays think that I need to create an impact. And this happened like with this, one of my friend's son who came and he said, I'm resigning from the company, and I asked him, why are you doing that? Because his father asked me to talk to him. And I was trying to understand, why are you trying to, मजा नहीं आ रहा है, क्या हो गया? कुछ, I'm not able to make a difference over here in this company. He said, but you have joined only like 8 months back, right? What difference will you make in 8 months? He said, नहीं, तभी मजा नहीं आ रहा है. I should be able to do something, which will create. What was missing was, he was not getting the connect of what he was doing and how it was impacting the organizational goals. Achievement of organizational goals. How it was really helping the overall department. He was not just communicated those aspects. So anyways, I asked him to go and talk to his managers and have a candid face-to-face conversation, which he did, and it helped. But fundamentally, what people really need is, they need enrichment. They need to first see the connection. Secondly, what they need to see is, can they do something much more than what they have been doing for the last 1 year, 1.5 years, or 2 years? By the way, for all the Gen X people over here, please remember, Gen Y people, they are an instant generation. बटन क्लिक किया, स्विगी से डिलीवरी हो गया, राइट? बटन क्लिक किया, हाँ मैगी 2 मिनट नूडल्स बन गया, राइट? बटन क्लिक किया, माइक्रोवेव में रखा, हो गया. They want things instantly. We cannot think, I have spent 10 years, then I have become so and so, and I have worked so hard to become so and so. They don't understand that. Neither they are interested in that. They want instantaneous satisfaction, growth, gratification, whatever you call it. So it's now the job of the HR folks to make the roles much more interesting. How you can keep on enriching the roles continuously, which they can feel, yes, they are adding value to themselves, they are doing something more meaningful. Right? अगर आप सोचोगे कि नहीं 4-5 साल के बाद from an executive you will move to an assistant manager और उसके बाद 3 साल के बाद a manager और उसके बाद वो बंदा चला जाएगा. He's not interested in that. You have to figure it out. How do you keep on enlarging the job, changing, fluctuating, flexing the titles, giving it more meaning, linking it back with the impact on the organization and giving that feel-good factor to the individual that he's meaningfully contributing. That will retain him in the organization. For the people who are looking for creating an impact, okay, that's the reality what we are facing today. I mean, I don't like it as a Gen X because बहुत ज़्यादा सोचना पड़ता है, but that's the reality in which we are living. Next is feedback and coaching. Very simple, and we know that, right? We talked about instant feedback, Facebook, Twitter. Anything, click of a button, picture डाला, feedback आ गया. Now, a lot of us, we talk about performance appraisals. A lot of HR folks already know about performance appraisals and performance management system. And managers have got the habit, time है नहीं, busy है, बैठना ही नहीं है. Do away with it. Just ensure they are talking to their employees at least on a weekly basis. खाली काम के बारे में. How are you doing? What's happening? ये किया आपने, अच्छा किया. ये नहीं किया, इसमें improve कर दो. I do a lot of coaching, and I was doing last year coaching with multiple mid-level managers, one of the biggest retail conglomerates. And one of the managers I spoke to, and she was so frustrated with her team members. She was saying, and she was like, not a Gen Y, she was like between Gen Y and Gen X, मतलब थोड़ा marginal difference था, earlier Gen Y, right? And she was saying, people don't understand, they don't give me a feedback, they don't understand what I tell them, what has to be done. And I ask them to do X, and he doesn't do it, he doesn't tell me it has not been done, and this and that, and this and that. मैंने बोला यार शांत हो जाओ पहले तो, ठीक है? बैठ के बात करो, उससे पूछो उसको क्या चाहिए, how he wants support from you. And she sat down, she had a conversation. She took a feedback and she also communicated her point of view. After that conversation, things started becoming better. With at least 2 people she was having problems with. Okay, and gradually, by the end of the 3rd month, she came back and she said, you know that guy, I really misread him. Okay, he's a wonderful guy. मैंने उसको थोड़ा autonomy दिया ना, he has done wonders in the merchandising world. Okay, मेरा तो इतना काम उसने आसान कर दिया है करके, and he's giving so much of ideas to me. That is the power of coaching and feedback, which most of us fail to do it. Have a conversation with our people. So the role of HR is to ensure the business leaders are doing it, and for the business leaders who are sitting over here, they need to ensure they find time to do it. Because that's, if you are saying you are a leader, that's your fundamental job. Getting the sales is not only your job, right? Getting the profitability is not only your job. If you are saying you are a leader, if there are no followers, who are you leading? And if you are leading some couple of people, then you need to spend time with them. Simple, period, right? So that is another thing. Last but not the least, or I think there's one more point. So skills. Figure out ways and means to develop them. See, unfortunately, most of the youngsters, and I do a lot of work with the colleges, and they say, "Sir, हमको तो सब आता है. सीख लिए अभी तो जाके हम शुरू कर देंगे बस." ठीक है? And you go and you talk to the people, you ask them, you know, who have joined around 1 year back or so. So tell us, what do you think about this particular project? How we are going to do it? एकदम confidence से बात करते हैं. सर इसको तो ऐसे ऐसे करना चाहिए. But you go into the depth, you find not there. Technically they may be right, but they are lacking in experience. We have the experience, we need to guide them. Because unfortunately, what is happening is we think they know it, they have understood it, they are going to do it, but they don't deliver it. Because we are not assessed them properly. We are jumping onto conclusions too fast. So ensuring we are guiding them, ensuring we are working with them on certain new projects, giving them opportunities, but hand-holding them. Don't delegate and walk away from it. Okay? At least till you know that the person can really take care of it. Because once you set a person for failure, or he fails in a particular project, and you jump onto a conclusion, then he's also demotivated, you are also demotivated. You form a poor judgment about him, he is demotivated or bhag jayega. Because potential is there, hand-holding is required. The best thing I say is, for people in my age group, think about your teenagers. Children. Your teenage children. How would you deal with them? A lot of patience. That's how you need to deal with the youngsters, okay, who are joining your organization. Okay, very easy to leave a workplace if people don't feel connected. So helping people to connect, even like, for example, if there are organizations, right? If you're making them connect with somebody big in the organization hierarchy, they feel good about it. Somebody they admire, somebody they really like, go and get them connected with them. Ensure they are making connections. Don't feel insecure. Many managers, and for HR people, please note that many managers have these insecurities, right? If they are typically traditional kind of managers. You have to work with them to bring about their mindset change. Okay, and for business owners, if your people want to connect in some other place, for example, he might be good in a particular hobby, he might be good in a particular interest area, right? Get him connected. Oh, he'll be so happy. So, just sharing one, 5 minutes, right? So, just sharing one more story. So, I was in China, and I had this Chinese colleague of mine who used to play chess. He was very interested in chess, and right from childhood I have been playing chess. So we had this Vishwanath Anand who was visiting China in Shanghai, right? And we had organized as an Indian association an event. So the event was very simple. Please enroll yourself who wants to play chess with him. And you know, if you are familiar, they typically have a U type of a setting, and they will have multiple chess boards, and he'll go and he'll play with them. I ensured this guy joins that because he was an amazing fan of chess, and he had heard about Vishwanath Anand. And he came and he played over there, and he survived. I mean, like, they play, and with 20 people, 16 were knocked out in the first 12-15 moves, right? There were 4 people who survived. He was one of the guys who survived. Vishwanath Anand autographed and gave everything. And he is so happy with that particular thing. Till date, he is in contact. Yeah, Vidhu, if it was not for you, I would not have managed to get into that particular event. Identify where can you connect your people, with whom you can connect your people, that they will make it as a memory and a remembrance. Right? You have to connect with their hearts. So get them linked with the right people. In an organization or outside the organization, which will strengthen your connect with them. And then they will not leave. Very simple. Okay, so finally, to summarize everything of this kind of a complicated presentation and sharing, simple formula is the ICE formula. Okay, for those who think this has been too much detailed, it's all about influencing. Influencing the people out there in the community to ensure they develop an interest in your organization so you can attract them. Once they are on board, connecting them with heart. At a heart-to-heart level, get the connection done. At a mental level, get them engaged. Okay? And then it's all about basically empowering them with the right kind of techniques so that they are successful in your organization. This is a simple formula for the HR folks or the business leaders to attract and retain talent. And with this, I would like to open up for questions if you have any. Yes. Over here, sir.
My name is Dr. Vidhu. I am at two places. One is with the involved entrepreneurs with the Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, around 3,000 of them. And on the other end with the Startup Masterclass in Pune, trying out to build up the ecosystem for startups. And in between we have these evolved companies. So how do you look at the three types of people that are engaged, maybe the young ones, the middle ones and the old ones, which are across street everywhere. And you said you need to connect differently. But the HR over here would go with a standards tool and address them as a standard thing because it's a company policy. So how does the leverage go to the individual HR to address them individually? That requires a very high level of maturity at all these three segments. So where is the learning coming from? And how do you address it to show that that is the result that is required to see?
Right. Thank you, sir. So I'll just paraphrase the question if I understand it correctly. What you're asking is there are three different generations, right? And HR has more of a standard way of looking at things and doing in a standard way because the rules and the policies and the procedures, that is the way how they are set. So how do you think that the HR can do it differently, right? So simply put over here, the policies and the processes or the guidelines which are laid in the company, they may be in a similar way. But how do I interact and connect with the people? That is up to me. For example, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a community member. How do I interact or how do I play my different roles in different places? That's entirely up to me. I'm a speaker, right? How do I interact over here versus when I interact with my friends? So HR individual, when we talk about maturity, sorry to use that, but I think it's common sense. Because as human beings, we are gifted with the greatest talent, which is called as intellect. Much more evolved as compared to animals. Ability to differentiate between what needs to be done, what should not be done, it's kind of instinctive within us. If you look at a young child, he knows exactly what he has to talk to his mother, what he has to talk to his father, and what he has to talk to his grandparents. They develop those skills right at the beginning, right? So as professionals, we have to stop being lazy. We have to ensure we are doing the real business of connecting with the hearts of the people rather than considering everyone as resources. First of all, it starts with the terminology itself. Human resources. A resource is a means to an end. People should not be treated as a means to an end. People ought to be treated as human beings. If you treat them as human beings, what you will get back is basically their emotional connect. If you treat them as resources, what you will basically get is their simple attitude of jitna milta hai, utna hi dunga main. Right? So that is the first thing which an HR professional has to understand. They are in the business of winning the hearts of the people, not basically ensuring delivering the financial results for the organization. Keep it to finance, keep it to business leaders on that. You rule the hearts of the people, rest everything will get done. Okay, so that's it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You said that the HR employees should be given the different roles to play, in which they are interested. Now, as a head of the functional department, someone comes to me saying, I want this role, which I believe that this person is not able to do it or perform it. Where already an existing role is already allotted and which is performing very well. And I cannot afford to replace that person. In that situation, how do you tackle a person who has come to me saying, I want this role?
Valid question. Valid question. So, what I understand is you're saying an employee comes and he basically says, I'm interested in an X role, I'm doing a Y role, but I already have people who are doing an X role and I cannot put that person over there. A couple of ways of handling this particular situation. Number one, understanding and helping the person to understand where does he stand as on today. Many a times as a business leader, we do not invest time in counseling an individual to help him understand where does he stand. In the sense, what are the skill sets he has got, okay, what he needs to do to attain those other skill sets where he can perform a role. So, the way I have handled in the past with a couple of people was having a discussions with the managers and saying that, okay fine, let's do one thing. Let's give this person a 6 months job shadowing work under that particular person, which means one day in a week he will go and do a shadow. The existing manager, can he release him? And the new manager, can he pay attention? Right? So that job shadowing, he can do it and he can learn those new skills. After 6 months we will assess whether he is ready, and whenever the opening happens, then we will try to move this person over there. So this conversation is there. So this is a developmental way of going about it. Number one. Number two, mentoring. If it is not a skill set which is a hard skill, if it is more of a soft skill, let's say somebody says, I want to become a leader, right? But I don't know how to manage people. Can I have mentoring as a concept used over there? And which we typically use over there to basically ask his manager or somebody else to mentor him so that we can develop that. But at the same time, talk to the individual itself that you do not have this. It will take you X amount of months to actually go over there. When that is reached, we are investing in your development. We are investing in you the time. And people understand that. When you talk to people and you say that, hey, I'm going to invest so much of time and resource and money and energy in you, they will understand it and they will be willing to play around with that, right? But that conversation needs to happen where you help them to understand where they stand, and if they want to go at the next place, what developmental efforts we are putting in to help them. If you value that, them as a talent within your organization, if you do not value them as a talent in your organization, then it becomes a challenge, right? Here we come to another point, typically. There is a concept which is called as, which was used in GE and it was introduced, which is called as a 9-box matrix. And some of you might have heard about it. 9-box matrix is all about high potential and high performers, right? So the top talent is defined people who are high potential and they are really performing very well, right? So this group of people, they are typically 20% out of the 100. 100% in the organization. This group of people are typically the people we don't want to lose, because it comes back to the Pareto principle of 80-20. 20% of the people drive the 80% of the revenue in the organization or the results in the organization. You don't want to lose this group of people, and that is where we focus our efforts primarily. The other folks, we try to maintain them and develop them to the next level, right? So different strategies for different. We can always have a separate offline conversation if you want. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, looks like none. So thank you very much.
So I think you have to stand and give a big round of applause.
dear HR delegates, Sharma, the man himself, my favorite cadence members, and all our platinum and all other sponsors. Thank you for being here. It's my privilege to have been asked to offer the vote of thanks for this HR conclave. Thank you, Vidhu. Thanks for your valuable inputs, your insights, your strategies. You've certainly added a lot of value, not only for the HR managers, but also us as business owners. Your formula about ICE and as we already feel influenced, connected and empowered. Sorry, I had to take notes because I'm not as an expert like you. But thank you for coming over. And I would like to call our title sponsors, Subodh on behalf of Aspira and Ranjit on behalf of Andromeda.
So thank you very much for being a patiently listening audience, and I hope you find some value out of this talk and some tips and techniques which you can use in the organization. All the best to you. Thank you.